Hey guys, this is a bank system web app that I recently wrote. And I don't know which bank do you guys use, but I personally use BOA, Bank of America. And uh, I feel like my bank app is sort of like a cartoon version of the BOA system I use. And by cartoon version, I mean both individual and functional aspects. But on the other hand, I think that my bank app has most of the functions a bank system need. So now let's take a look at the languages I used in this project. Um, wow, I didn't expect that the HTML is so low, but yeah, this is mostly a Python app, or more specifically, a Flask app. And most of the stuff is written in this app.py. Okay, so let's try to run this app and see how it works. So here it says that you need to run this command to install the dependencies. But since, this is the directory that I've been working with, so I just have to run this one over here. Okay, so I just need to copy this one and paste it into some terminal or code editor and just run it like this. And you see that it's running on localhost port 5000. So I'll just go there from here. Yeah, so now we are directed to this login page because for every bank, um, user security is one of the biggest issue, and so you must have a credential to log into my bank app, just like every other real banks. And here is that you see that you can just log in here or sign up for a new account if you are a new user. And yeah, let's just try to sign up for a new account. Assume that this is my first time using it. And let's just do, well, just probably this, my last and first name and password. There we go. And let's try to, make a typo here. And you see, it will tell you that the password you enter the 2 times do not match. All right, so let's make it right this time. Yeah, and we are directed back to this login page, and we can just log in with our credentials. But seeing that, if I make another typo here, and I will just tell you that login incorrect, and we can have another try. But what if, I made a mistake here and just put in whatever password, and you will be redirected to this sign up page because the system will just assume that you are the new user. You don't have any username. You don't have the credential yet, so it will direct you to there. But yeah, let's make it right this time. Okay, there you go. And you see that there's a card with an add button on it. So you can click on this one to open a new account. And again, here's the logic. So each user or each person is supposed to have only one user account, which is the credential stuff that we have been doing. But under that user account, you can have multiple bank accounts, and the bank accounts are the place that actually store the money. So I think that is how all of the modern bank work. So anyway, let's just create a new account, and you see that you can choose to create either a checking account or a saving account, and the difference of them is explained over here. So essentially, a checking account has an interest rate of 50% per minute, and it's basically constraint free. And for a saving account, the interest rate for saving accounts is 100% per minute. But there are certain operations, like these are the operations that you can perform on accounts, like deposit and withdraw money. But there are certain operations that I'll be talking later that cannot be performed at odd minutes, or like can only be performed at even minutes. So saying that there are certain performing operations that can be only performed on like 11:0 calf or 10:0 40, but not 9:0 25. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much it. And you have to agree to the term of use to create an account, because otherwise it just doesn't work. So here we go. And I guess I will just create both of these accounts for demonstration. All right. Oh yeah, one more thing. So the reason I do this stuff, or like put a constraint on saving account, is that I feel like in the real banks, like BOA, for example, I feel like saving accounts give you more interest, but there are just some constraint on it. And well, I don't know if that's true, so don't take my word for it, but that's the motivation I do this. So yeah, here let's just create, I just created a checking account, and let me do the same for another saving account. All right, there we go. So now we have one saving and one checking account, and you can see that there's they have a different set of colors, and this is just for to make the app more lovely and user friendly. And you can see that under each account there are 4 buttons here, and well, there are actually 6. So this EU ID and this X are also 2 buttons, and this EU ID button will give you the UID, a unique UID of the account. And the UID is just randomly generated whenever you create a new account. So it's like a identifier of the account. And this button is the remove, like the remove account button. So these buttons are kind of dangerous or risky, and they are concealed over here. And back to these 4 buttons, they are respectively deposit money, withdraw, transfer, and just checking the transaction history. And let's just try them out. So first, let's just put $10 into each account, and there we go. I'll put $10, and the password is this. But if I made a typo again, I'll tell you wrong password, right? So let's make it right this time. And there you go. We have $10 now. Let's do the same for the other account. Yeah, so now we have $10 for each account, and then just transfer $5 from here to here. Okay. Yeah, it's actually withdraw. So let's first do withdraw, and I guess I'll just withdraw $5 with my password over here. Yeah, there we go. And now I want to transfer my money from this checking account to this saving account. So I want to make them sort of balanced, and so let's do $5, I guess. But you see here that you need some extra information beside the amount of money and beside your password, which is the UID of recipient. And I just talked about UID, and so saying that I said that now I want to transfer money from this checking account to that saving account. So I want to look at the UID of my saving account, which is the recipient. So I just need to click on this UID here, and yeah, you can see this pretty random stuff, and I'll just copy it here, and go back to here, copy the UID, and let's just do 5 again, and with the password, and there you go. Yeah, so you might notice that some strange stuff happens here. So just a minute ago, we have $5 here and $10 here, and I transferred $5 from this account to that account. So some of you might think that now we should have $10 in our saving account and $5 in our checking account, but it's not, what's going on. So what happened? So you remember the interest stuff that I've been talking about. And basically what happened is that the accounts gain interest. And here's something you can look at using this transaction history button. So let's just open it up. And you can see here that, so this is like a full story of our account, right? So you see that we create our accounts like it's 25 right now. So we created our account 5 minutes ago. And then for a period of time, it gained no interest because there's no money in the account. And then we put $10 into our account. And then because this is a checking account, so we gain 50% of our change like every minute. So the first time we gain $5. The second time we gain 50% of $15, which is $7.5, right? And right after that, we transferred $5 into our saving account, and that's why at that, and and a little bit later we also gain a $9 and $13.5. So I don't know, I forgot. So basically this 18, I think it corresponds to I'm not sure. Let me refresh it. Wow, I don't know, but now it has 93 accounts. So with all of this interest, now we have already $400 into this account, right? Let's also have a look of here. So here the numbers are sort of, just even, and it's 25, 50, 100, 20, 200. So we can just, induce that at the last minute we have $20 in our account, and we gain 100% of the change as interest. So basically means that the money doubles up, and so now we have $400. So yeah, just by the way, I think that, so this is of course just for demonstration that no real bank actually give you such a large interest. And you know what, I guess this is actually the most lucrative, how do I describe this? This is the most lucrative enterprise, I think, in this world. So if you put $10 in accounts in this bank, you are gonna be richer than Elon Musk in no more than one day. Okay, back to the app. So now you see that, I don't know if you noticed, but now these two buttons turn into gray, and now I'm click on them, but they don't respond. And why is that? Because you remember that when I created the account in this protocol or term of use, it says that some of the operations cannot be performed on saving account at odd minutes. And here now it's 2027 for me. So what's going on is like just now was that these two buttons as well as this close account buttons, they don't work. They are sort of disabled. And basically I guess for saving accounts, you have to keep your money in your saving account at even odd minutes, so that a bank can use your money or spend your money to make more money. I think that is how banks work, right? So I guess that's all, where we can read for a few more seconds to just say together that these buttons turn into gray. So now they are all clickable. Yeah, actually, let me also show this delete account button. So to delete account, you also need the UID of this account and also the user password. So you can just font the UID here and yeah, delete it. And now it shows that there's still money in your account. Please withdraw or transfer them. And I think it makes sense because, there's still money. You don't want to just, delete the account and just leave the money in some random place, right? So now I have this amount of money and I'll just withdraw them. Oops, yeah, it gains another amount of interest real quick. So cool, there we go. Now I have $10. And let me re-get my UID. And now I can safely remove my account. 1 sec. Oh, it tells me that we have the wrong UID. Why is that? There we go. The UID, this one. Oh, yeah, I had a space over there. So let's do it one more time. And it's gone, delete successfully. And let me refresh it. So I don't know if you noticed, but just now the button turned into gray again. And at that time, I can't click on them. They don't respond. But now they are back into black and clickable. So yeah, if you didn't say it, just take my word for it. And let's now take a look of the code and see the implementations of all of stuff. So here is the directory of the project, and as I said, this is the place of most of the code. And again, this is a Flask app. So here you can see that I define a handful or a dozen of roles that correspond to the behaviors, the actions that user have, like signing up for a new account, logging in, creating a new account, and this just shows the main page, the main HTML page of the bank app that we've been working on, and this corresponds to deposit, withdraw, and so on and so forth. And so this templates folder store all of the HTML. This is just the base HTML, like a parent HTML, like a template. And besides, you can see, just several pretty straightforward HTML. This is create account and log in over here and sign up over here. And this is the main page. This is the user.html. And, I'll talk about it later, but so basically this templates folder stores the HTML files and the CSS is here. And besides this app.py, there's another modal.py. And yeah, I use SQL Alchemy here, which is like a ORM that helps me connect to the Postgres database and also map it to Python classes. So now I have two classes where to table in database. One is user, like my user is long E with the password long E123. That's the user with the username and passwords. And user has a one-to-many relationship with the accounts, where in other words, each user account can have one or multiple bank accounts that actually store the money. So for each bank account, it has ID, UID. Type is whether it's either checking or saving, and money, of course. And this is for the one-to-many relationship, and also history, which is what we saw in the transaction history. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And let me see if there's anything special that we want to talk about. Yeah, so anytime the user sign up for a new account, I I will store the username and the password into the database, but storing the plain text of username database and password into the database is a really bad thing. And so what I did is I just encrypt with it or like hashed it and stored hashed password into my database. And it's just a safer practice. And this is the login. There's nothing really special here. So yeah, one thing I want to mention is that, for just as you saw, for each, login or any action, there are multiple checks. Like now, one check is that, does the user already have an account or not? Like for this, saying that for this deposit, it also checks that if the user enters the right password, right? And for withdrawal, it checks does the user has enough balance to withdraw. So saying that the user only have $10 into one account, he or she cannot withdraw $100, right? And that's the transfer. The transfer route will check that does the destination account, like the account you want to transfer to, does it exist or not? And oh yeah, one more thing. So in my demonstration, I have already deleted this checking account, but what I did is that I transferred money from this checking account into my saving account, and there are two accounts that is under my same user account, right? But in the real world scenario, it's more common to transfer money between two accounts that are under different users, and that is also feasible here. But I just transferred money from here to here for demonstration purpose. Okay, and this is the history, pretty straightforward, and delete and UID. Oh yeah, and add the and at the bottom of the code, here are like these two snippets are the codes that define the gain interest stuff that gain interest every minute. And yeah, I used a background scheduler to do this stuff. And when I did this, I just feel like um, so so for the gain interest, basically there's a scheduler that triggered this gain interest function every 60 seconds, right? And besides this, there's another stuff I talked about, which is for the saving accounts, there are certain operations that cannot be performed on just cannot be performed, right? And in HTML or in JS, it's done in this way. It's using this set time up. So I just want to say these two snippets of code are really the same. So I mean, these are the two different ways in Python and JS of how to do something once a second or once an hour. These are the two snippets of code of doing that. I just found it interesting. And yeah, that's pretty much about the Python code. Let's take a look at the HTML. So again, it's pretty straightforward. I use a for loop here and just it's basically render all of the accounts. So now I have only one account. But if I have multiple accounts, this for loop will help me render all of these accounts. So this lines of code is just for each of this card. You can see that there's these two buttons, UID button, delete button, and this is the title, like the here and balance, and these few lines defines these four buttons, and pretty much it. And these lines of code define this add button. So no matter how many accounts you already have, there will be a this add button always at the end of those cards, because you can always create a new bank account. And besides that, besides those are the definition of the models, like this deposit model, this is withdrawal model, this is transfer model. And model is basically this, pop-up this pop-up window, and you can't see it the other time, but once you click on this button, it will give you this deposit, model, it will just show it. So it's implemented by, I just used the Bootstrap model to do this. It's really simple. For the actual model, you just have to give it a class equals model to define it. And yeah, you have other properties, model title, model body, and data this means this model, right? And for the buttons that open it, you just have to give it two properties: this data targets model and data targets deposit model properties, and then you can just easily open these models. It's just really cool and easy to use. And I guess that's really all of stuff that I want to talk about. And yeah, here I use some jQuery. This is really hard. Oh yeah, and one more thing I learned is that I talked about that security is a big issue in bank, and you didn't see, but just trust me that after a certain amount of time that you are playing around, you will be redirected to the login page again, and you have to just re-log in. And I guess it's the same as at least the BOA I use, that whenever I log into my account for some amount of time, I would just be forced to log out. And this is another matter of security. And in my program, this is achieved by using this session or like cookie more generally. So whenever a user log in, his or her ID is put into the session. But whenever the session expires, I would just let the users to log in. So this is one thing I learned about when I was writing this app. And also another thing, yeah, this is also one thing I learned about this background scheduler. And just again, it's in charge of trigger function every period of time. Is pretty cool. And also the last thing I learned is this model stuff. Like I knew Bootstrap and Bootstrap cards before, but yeah, this is my first time using this model. And again, they are really easy to use. So yeah, that's really all I want to talk about. Thank you for watching, and bye.